I'm just a supporting villain, without the protagonist's plot armor. The best move is to get out while I still can. Oh, by the way, help me find a new place. I said this villa's nice, but I don't like being disturbed all the time. It wasn't just Amara. Ethan's whole family was a nuisance, too. Now that I had completely burned that bridge, who knew when they might show up to cause trouble? And I had zero interest in dealing with that. Violet understood. Got it. Leave it to me. Violet was a top-tier rich kid. Sure, she spent most of her time eating, drinking, and partying. But when you really needed her, she got things done. The next day she called me, saying she'd found a villa on the west side of the city. The previous owner moved abroad and is desperate to sell. The place was just renovated and never lived in. You're getting a steal. I was very satisfied with her efficiency. That same day, I dragged Violet along to sign the contract and transferred the ownership as fast as possible. Then I immediately listed my current place for sale. I called a moving company, and soon enough, a group of movers was running up and down the stairs, packing up everything. I couldn't help but shake my head. I hadn't realized how much stuff the original Ethan had until now. This was going to cost extra, wasn't it? Mister, what's in this box? It's pretty heavy, one of the movers asked, hauling a large cardboard box down from the third floor. The box was sealed tightly, so I couldn't see what was inside. Just as I was about to go over and check, I got a phone. Hello, is this Mr. Koo? This is the Third People's Hospital. Your wife fainted on the street and was brought here. Can you come to the hospital as soon as possible? Chapter 11. I froze. Amara fainted and she's in the hospital. You must be mistaken. I'm not her husband, I explained. The voice on the other end sounded surprised. But the contact information on her phone. Oh, right. I suddenly remembered back when Amara was pregnant. Ethan had insisted on changing his name in her phone too. Dear Ethan. Husband Amara had given in at the time. I guess she'd forgotten to change it back after the divorce. How is she doing? I asked. She likely fainted due to low blood sugar. There's no immediate danger, but her overall condition isn't great. It's better if you see. But I'm a bit tied up right now. Why don't you give her current boyfriend a call? His name is Liam. You should find his number in her contacts. If anything comes up, just contact him. I hung up and looked around. The living room was now filled with even more boxes. How long is this going to take? Just move everything out for now. I'll sort it later when I have time. Luckily, the new house was big enough. I asked the housekeeper to organize things. Then I spent the rest of the day playing a few rounds of and checking out a new trendy barbecue restaurant. The food was great, and the place had an awesome vibe, so I couldn't help but take a bunch of photos and post them on social media. Check in another day of bulking up, I added along with a few selfies. My friends showered me with likes, and even Violet, who rarely commented on social media, chimed in. This place is pretty good. I replied, you've been here, Violet? Of course I own it. Wow. She really knows how to pull it off. What I didn't expect was that Liam also left a comment. His tone was polite, but laced with condescension and accusation. Even though you and Ollie are divorced, she's in the hospital right now. Don't you think you should at least visit her? Hi, what's wrong with this guy? As soon as Liam's comment dropped, my social feed exploded. Only a few people knew about my divorce with Amara, and I hadn't even figured out how to break the news yet. But now he'd gone and put himself on the moral high ground. Well, if that's how he wants to play it, I replied pretentiously. A good ex should act like they're dead. I just didn't want to cause any misunderstandings, but if you don't mind, I'll go visit. After all, we were classmates, and it's only right to check in on her. What do you think? My social feed erupted. People were buzzing with excitement. Not long after, Liam quietly deleted his comment. Oh, so deleting it makes everything go away? Ah. I quickly followed up with another public calling all social media experts. What's the best gift to bring when visiting your ex-wife and her current boyfriend in the hospital? This is super important. Chapter 12. An hour later, I arrived at the hospital carrying a bag of fruit. Just as I approached the room, I heard Liam's voice full of concern. Ollie, don't be mad. I know I was wrong this time, but I was only thinking about you. There was no response from Amara. Liam, sounding both frustrated and wrong, continued. You passed out, and the hospital even called him, but he didn't bother to come see you. What if something had happened to you today? He made it sound like I had committed some unforgivable crime. Finally, Amara's tired voice came through. I'm a little tired, Liam. I'd like to be alone for a while. After a brief pause, I heard the sound of a chair being moved, and then Liam appeared at the door. When he saw me, he froze, staring in shock. Sensing something was wrong, Amara turned to look as well. Her face was pale, devoid of the usual commanding presence she had as a powerful sound. While lying in the hospital bed with a 4 drip in her arm, She looked unexpectedly fragile. When she saw me, her dull eyes brightened for a moment, filled with what seemed like a mix of tension and uncertainty. Ethan, what are you doing here? I stepped past Liam and walked into the room. Well, I didn't want people talking behind my back saying that I didn't care if my ex-wife lived or died right after the divorce. After all, we were college classmates. No need to make things so awkward. Right, Amara's face went pale, her lips tightening into a thin line. She must have seen the little exchange between me and Liam on social media, knowing how proud she was. She couldn't stand being publicly teased like that. It must have felt like a humiliation. Her hatred for me probably just grew another notch. The thought of it annoyed me. All right, now that I've shown up, if there's nothing else, I'll be on my way. Amara's mouth twitched slightly. Ethan, do you really have to act like this? I raised an eyebrow, genuinely curious. Like what? You didn't visit me until 3 days after my car accident. Compared to that, I think I'm being pretty reasonable, don't you? If we're talking about being ruthless, who can top the female lead? Amara's face turned ashen, her mouth opened, as if to say something, but my phone rang. Interrupting her, it was the housekeeper from my villa. Mr. Ku, most of your belongings have been organized, but there's one box we haven't touched yet. It's full of ceramic items. What would you like us to do with them? I paused. Ceramic items? Yes, and it looks like you made them yourself, so I thought I'd check with you first. From the corner of my eye, I caught Amara's startled expression, and a memory flashed through my mind. Oh, right, those ceramics were indeed made by the original Ethan. Back in college, Amara worked part-time at a DIY pottery shop, and Ethan would often go there to see her, spending entire afternoons there. He had no talent for it, and no patience either. His only focus was on Amara. As a result, every time he'd leave, covered in clay, taking home some hideously ugly finished product, but he never got tired of it and didn't seem to care how ridiculous he looked. Eventually, Amara couldn't take it anymore and told him he was doing it wrong. Ethan immediately seized the opportunity to push further. Then why don't you teach me yourself? Of course, Amara refused, but Ethan was a VIP customer at the shop, and she couldn't afford to offend him. It wasn't until Amara quit that Ethan finally stopped going. That box of art pieces had been accumulated during that time. They're not important, just throw them out, I said indifferently. Chapter 13. Wait, Amara suddenly spoke up. You moved. I had to admit this woman could be sharp when she wanted to be. I nodded. Yep. Amara frowned. Where to? Why so sudden? I couldn't help but laugh. Miss Sue, how many times do I have to remind you we're divorced? What I do and where I live have nothing to do with you anymore. Amara's expression faltered, like she had just heard something she couldn't accept. Her eyes reddened slightly. After a long moment, she finally relented, her voice low. If you don't want the ceramics, I can send someone to pick them up. I gave her a curious look. Those are my things. If I want to keep them, I will. If I want to throw them away, I'll throw them away. For some reason, that sentence seemed to strike a nerve. The last bit of light in Amara's eyes flickered out. It was like watching a weak flame in the wind finally blow out. Liam, clearly worried, quickly stepped forward. Ollie, are you okay? Amara turned her head slightly, avoiding his hand. Liam froze, visibly embarrassed, but I had no interest in their drama, so I turned to leave. Just as I stepped outside, a doctor called out to me. I looked up to see a woman in her 40s, a doctor, studying me. Why are you here? Are you feeling unwell? I was confused for a moment, then glanced at her name badge. It read Obstetrics Department Chief. An unsettling thought crossed my mind. The only thing Ethan had ever been involved with that could connect him to this doctor was the baby from before. Thanks for your concern, but I'm fine. I'm just here visiting a friend, I replied vaguely. The doctor seemed to relax. That's good, but you and your wife are at the right age now. Next time you have a child, you shouldn't give it up. I was stunned. Those two sentences carried a massive amount of information. A child? A child? Didn't Amara have a miscarriage? What is the doctor talking about? Wait, that night when Ethan arrived at the hospital, Amara had already been wheeled out of surgery with Liam sitting by her bedside. Ollie, what are you doing? Liam's alarmed voice jolted me from my thoughts. I turned around to see Amara yanking out her four and pushing Liam aside as she rushed over to us. She blocked the doctor, her voice tight with tension. Doctor, this is a private matter between my husband and me. It's none of your concern. I felt a chill run down my spine as I slowly turned to look at Amara for the first time. This beautiful face seemed completely unfamiliar to me. Amara, what does this mean? The doctor's brows furrowed. You didn't know your wife told us you both were focused on your careers and weren't ready for children, so she chose to have an abortion. You mean to say you had no idea? Chapter 14. I can't even remember how I got home. The shocking news had left me completely numb. I sat in the study for a long time, closing my eyes. How could this be in the novel? It was clearly Written that Ethan's jealousy and argument with Amara had caused her miscarriage. How could it be? For some reason, thinking about this made something deep inside me ache, as if I could feel the same hopelessness and pain Ethan must have felt when he learned the baby was gone. The discomfort grew stronger. I shook my head, trying to shake off the feeling the study had been recently organized. I flipped through a few things, finally finding the box that stored my old university stuff. At the very bottom was a college memory album. If the masquerade wasn't how it was written in the book, could there be other differences? Opening the first page, I saw a picture from military training. The sun was blazing, and a boy in a green uniform was smiling brightly. Behind him, standing on the stage, was a slender figure. Even though the figure was far away, anyone could tell at a glance that it was Amara from their college days. Beneath the photo were a few lines of small text. On the first day of training, a girl fainted next to me. I carried her to the infirmary. She was so light, I didn't expect to see her again on stage today, giving the freshman speech. Turns out her name is Amara. Pretending to take selfies just to sneak pictures of someone you like. A classic move. This must have been when he first started liking Amara. I chuckled a little. Ethan fell in love with Amara in such a simple and cliched way. Love at first sight. I couldn't help but touch my face. The Ethan in the book was selfish, reckless, and obsessive. He seemed so different from the one with that bright, carefree smile in the photo. It was hard to imagine that the boy with stars in his eyes would eventually become the paranoid, domineering, and selfish man he was later on. I kept flipping through the album, surprised to find that every single photo was related to Amara. There were pictures of her attending class in a lecture hall, playing badminton with her hair flying, eating alone in the cafeteria, and working diligently at the pottery shop. Sometimes next to the photos, there were short comments. The classes she chooses are so boring. Ugh, I don't understand them. How can a girl be so good at both studying and sports? She always eats alone, and it's always the cheapest meal at the cafeteria. Does she ever get full? She always seems so busy, not even enough time to talk to me. It was a whole album of Ethan's unrequited love for Amara for 4 years. He had taken countless photos of her. Every picture and every sentence painted a very different Ethan than the one in the book. She seems to like someone, but it's not me. What should I do? Maybe I should give up. Tomorrow is the graduation ceremony. Should I confess and say goodbye to this one-sided crush? She suddenly left in the middle of the graduation photo shoot. I followed her secretly and found out her mom's condition had worsened, and they needed a lot of money. What will she do? The page where the graduation photo should have been was blank because of Amara. Ethan missed his own graduation photo. My hands began to tremble slightly. I didn't know why, but I suddenly felt like this album was unbearably heavy, weighing down on me, making it hard to keep turning the pages. It felt like if I kept reading, something uncontrollable would happen. There was a tightness in my chest, like a heavy stone pressing down, making it hard to breathe. But some unseen force pushed me to keep going. Then I found a wedding photo, chapter 15. No, to be more precise, it was a passport-sized photo. The picture from their marriage certificate. Ethan still had a smile on his face, but it was more subdued, a small curve at the corner of his lips. His body leaned slightly toward Amara. Amara, however, looked calm and indifferent, completely out of place against the joyful red background. I realized they never had a proper wedding photo. After a year of back and forth, Amara finally chose to marry Ethan, but she didn't marry the person she loved most, so she had no interest in the trivial details of the wedding at the time. Her mother was also in the hospital, so they didn't have a wedding ceremony or take any wedding photos. They just got the certificate and called it a marriage. I had expected that on this page. The day he finally got to be with Amara, Ethan would have written a lot, but there wasn't a single word. I stared at that photo for a long time, feeling an inexplicable tightness in my chest. 5 years of unrequited love, 5 years of marriage, and this was the only picture they had together. I pushed down my emotions and kept turning the pages, but there were no more photos of Amara. Only occasional sentences remained. She's been so busy lately. Her company is just starting, and she has to handle everything herself. It must be exhausting. I made her favorite sweet and sour ribs, but she came home smelling of alcohol and fell straight into bed. She bought an apartment near her company for convenience. But that man, why is he there? Too, I know I'll never mean as much to her as he does, but I still want a child of our own. Am I beyond hope? I went to the nursing home again today and ran into Violet helping her dad check out. She told me I was being an idiot, that Amara isn't the type of woman who'll fall for this kind of trick. I turned and left because I knew she was right. I was ready to give up, but that night she came home drunk. I couldn't resist kissing her, and for the first time, she kissed me back. There was a blank space. Then finally, on one page. I think she's pregnant, I kept. Reading those 2 months were indeed the best period of Ethan and Amara's relationship, even though he knew that Amara's change in attitude was only because of the baby, but by then, he didn't want anything else from the moment he fell for her all those years ago. He had been hopelessly in love with this person. He once believed she was the light of his life. He wanted to draw warmth and affection from her, but from the start, it was all wrong. This seemingly perfect dream finally shattered the last. Page held a torn consent form for an abortion, Amara's signature scrawled in the bottom right corner. It felt like lightning had struck me, and a wave of pain washed over me, leaving me numb and cold. Countless images flashed through my mind, crashing over me like a violent storm, as if trying to drown me. I felt like a fish gasping for air before a storm, trying to break the surface to breathe, only to be dragged under by a bigger wave. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, and then finally it hit me. I hadn't transmigrated. I am Ethan. Chapter 16. The sudden ringing of my phone cut through the silence of the study, especially jarring in the quiet room. It was Violet calling. I answered. And before I could say anything, Violet's direct voice came through. Did you go to the hospital to see Amara today? Her flight was in the afternoon, so logically, she shouldn't know what's been going on here. Even though I had posted some things on social media, she shouldn't have such detailed information, especially about the timing. Yes, I didn't deny it. How did you know? She hesitated briefly. Amara called me asking some questions about you. Oh, I see. I nodded, not pressing for more, sensing my indifferent tone. Violet seemed to pick up on the fact that something was off. It's late. You're still awake? She asked, softening her voice and changing the topic. I was about to respond when the doorbell rang. To my surprise, it was Amara. I hung up on Violet, went downstairs and opened the door, but I didn't invite Amara inside. The sky had already gone completely dark, and the streetlights behind her cast a faint glow, leaving her face half lit, half shadowed. What do you want? I asked. Her lips were pale. I came to apologize. It had been 3 hours since I left the hospital, and only now did she think to say these words. No need. I replied flatly. It's all in the past. It was too late. I didn't need her apology anymore. Amara's face turned even paler. Ethan, please listen to me. I can explain. That day, I was just impulsive. Was it really impulsive, or was it premeditated? I asked softly. Carrying my child must have been painful for you, right? Amara froze. It took her a long moment before she closed her eyes and with difficulty said, at first, I really didn't want this baby, but later, as the child grew day by day, I was just confused in that moment. And I regret it. Isn't it too late to regret it now? Regret filled Amara's eyes as her shoulders shook, but she couldn't find the words to respond. I gave her a faint smile. You wanted me to think that it was my fault that you lost the baby because of me, right? That way I'd be consumed with guilt, unable to ever bring up the child again, and you'd finally be free. Isn't that how it goes? Amara was stunned deep down. She had always believed that I was exactly that kind of selfish, possessive, and jealous man. As long as the child was gone, I would have no reason to tie her down anymore. She opened her mouth, struggling to find the words. But that was between us. Why? Why did you suddenly go after Liam that day? I looked at her quietly. This was the woman I had loved for 10 years, and yet, even at this moment, her heart was still focused on another man. I smiled. There was no particular reason. I just didn't like him. He deserved it. But the child is gone, and we're divorced. Now, Amara, you can finally be with him. You should be happy now. Amara seemed to snap, stepping forward and grabbing my wrist. I don't love him. I don't love him, Ethan. Can you please stop talking to me like this? I frowned, just about to push her away when suddenly a soft laugh came from behind. Well, looks like I picked the wrong time to show up. Chapter 17. Amara immediately froze. It was only then that I noticed the person who had arrived was Violet, the one who was supposed to be out of town. She brushed a strand of hair from her ear, her beautiful eyes glinting coldly as she looked at Amara. Amara, didn't I tell you that since you were the one who wanted the divorce, you shouldn't come back and bother him? Amara bit her lip, glaring at Violet with equal hostility. My relationship with Ethan is none of your business. Violet raised an eyebrow and walked over, standing next to me and casually looping her arm through mine. My heart skipped a beat. Violet, she tilted her head toward me, smiling in that sultry yet innocent way of hers. What? Are you planning on going back to her? My head felt a bit muddled, so I shook it. No such plans. But why are you back? All of a sudden, she lifted her chin slightly. If I didn't come back, would I have to watch her harass you? Amara stared intently at the way Violet was holding my arm, her eyes turning red. Violet, don't act like you're so noble. You know exactly what your intentions are, don't you? Violet chuckled. She turned around, her smile still bright. Oh, since Ms. Sue seems to know so much, why don't you tell me exactly what my intentions are? Amara refused to speak, her lips pressed tightly together. Violet smirked. What's wrong? You won't say it? Fine, I'll say it for you. I've been waiting for you two to get divorced, so I could chase after him. This chance doesn't come often, so of course I'm going to make the most of it. The night breeze carried her voice, every word ringing in my ears, stirring something deep inside my chest. Violet, Amara, if you had even a shred of decency, you wouldn't have asked those questions just now. Do you really think there's anyone out there who will keep forgiving you forever, who will always give you another chance? Amara's face turned deathly pale, her body swaying like she might collapse at any moment. She muttered, her voice shattered. I didn't mean to. Violet seemed to have no patience for her, cutting her off coldly. I already told you he's finally moving on from all of that and is ready to start a new life. Why would you come back and drag him down with it? I suddenly looked at Violet. Something about what she said didn't sit right with me. Could she have figured something out? But Violet didn't seem to notice my reaction. She simply said, you should leave. Don't come back. Amara nearly collapsed, her gaze vacant, as if she had lost all sense of focus. I didn't want to watch any longer, so I said, all right, you came here to ask 2 questions, and I've already answered them. From today onward, we have no connection whatsoever with that. I turned to leave suddenly. A dull thud sounded behind me. Amara had fallen to her knees. Ethan. Her voice trembled uncontrollably. I know it's my fault. Everything was my fault. Please, just give me one more chance. Let's start over, okay? Chapter 18. Violet's first reaction was to glance at me. The usual arrogance and haughtiness in her demeanor seemed to fade away, leaving only her bright, beautiful eyes locked onto me. Her hand hanging by her side tightened, and her expression became tense. She was nervous. Amara was waiting for my answer, and so was she. I turned and looked quietly at Amara. Amara, for 5 years of marriage, I wasn't like Liam. I wasn't the one you wanted, and all I did was cause you trouble. I even foolishly believed I could have you all to myself. That's what you think of me, isn't it? Amara's face went pale. I added softly, you even believe that this marriage itself was forced. If it hadn't been for your mother, you would never have been with me, and there wouldn't have been all this drama. That's how you see our marriage, isn't it? That's what you told me before the accident, isn't it? Amara's expression turned to one of deep regret, her eyes panicking. I only said that out of anger that day. I was too upset. I didn't mean it. Was that conversation that made me fully understand how laughable, hateful, and pathetic I was in her eyes after losing the baby. I was heartbroken, starting to wonder if I should set Amara free. A man like me didn't deserve to be with her. So when Liam asked to meet, I agreed. I wanted to talk to him to clear the air with the men who had always lingered around my marriage, but I didn't get the chance to ask my questions the day because Liam handed me the consent form for the abortion. Ethan, did you really think having a baby would make Amara love you? I was there when you called her. I even told her she should listen to you and stay home instead of going on that business trip. But do you know what she said? She said you were just trying to trap her with the baby and that it was exhausting. You've loved Amara since freshman year, haven't you? Oh, right, it was because she fainted during military training and you carried her to the infirmary, wasn't it? Being helpful is a good thing, but falling in love because of that one little incident and expecting her to be with you forever, don't you think that's a bit much? Ethan, stop fooling yourself. Ollie is sick of you, and the thought of having your child disgusts her. I never expected Liam to deliberately throw himself down the stairs, nor did I expect Amara to show up at that exact moment. She didn't even bother to hear my side of the story. All she did was cry by Liam's side, deeply concerned for him from start to finish. She didn't spare me a single glance. Later, when she finally made time for me, I wanted to confront her about the baby, but her words shut me down. Ethan, how long are you going to keep this up? Do you realize how much you disgust me from head to toe? I had wandered the streets aimlessly for a long time. That day, her harsh words echoing in my head. Am I really that selfish? Am I that extreme? Am I really that detestable? Until that car hit me, and I blacked out. When I woke up, I became another version of myself, a version of me seen through Amara's eyes in this new world she created. I was mad, selfish, and obsessive, and most importantly, I no longer loved her. I stared into Amara's eyes, speaking calmly, but Amara, in this world, I don't love you anymore. It was my love that put you on a pedestal, but you were never worthy of it. Chapter 19. When I woke up the next morning, the sun was already up. I smelled something delicious and wandered into the kitchen. Surprised to see Violet cooking, I was stunned. Miss John, what's the occasion today that warrants such a grand gesture from you? Violet tilted her head toward the garden outside. It's the day when someone annoying finally left. Amara had knelt outside all night, But I didn't bother with her. I pulled Violet, who still wanted to argue, back inside, closed the door, and went to Lamp, of course. In separate rooms, I sat at the table and took a bite of the toast and egg she made. Also happens to be the first time Miss Chan failed at cooking. Violet rushed over, trying to take the toast from me. Is it burnt? Don't eat it, I'll make you a new one. I dodged her. No need, it's a waste to throw it out. It's still edible. Violet eyed me skeptically. Really? I held up the toast. Want to try? Just as she was about to take a bite, I leaned forward and kissed the corner of her lips. She froze and her ears turned visibly red. Ethan. I smiled, satisfied, and pinched her cheek. I heard you. I heard you. Why are you yelling so loudly? You're even louder than when you confessed yesterday, Violet. She stayed quiet for a while before throwing herself into my arms, muttering softly, I thought you'd forgotten everything after the accident. You couldn't remember much. I almost thought I'd be stuck taking care of a fool for the rest of my life. I ruffled her hair. How could I forget, even if I forgot myself? I wouldn't forget you even in those days when I couldn't recognize or trust myself. I never let my guard up around her. I trusted her completely. She looked up at me, smiling with satisfaction. Finally using your brain for once. All these years, my feelings haven't gone to waste. Something tugged at my heart. I couldn't help but ask, Violet, how could you be even more foolish than me? Why did you fall for someone like me? She puffed up with pride. Because I have great taste. I knew I was waiting for someone worth waiting for. I laughed. Yes, you're the best. Chapter 20, Amara's extra story. Lately, I keep running into a boy. He's there during classes at the badminton courts, and even when I'm working part-time it seems like a coincidence. But his attempts are clumsy and he's terrible at hiding his intentions. It's written all over his face. It's a bit annoying. It's not like I haven't had other boys interested in me before, but none of them were as blatant as he was. I thought he'd give up after a while. To my surprise, he was incredibly persistent. I purposely started spending time with Liam, hoping he'd take the hint and back off. His disappointment was visible, and after that, I didn't see him for a long time. I felt relieved, though part of me thought he really is the type to give up quickly. After all, he's a rich kid. He's never faced real hardship. He's nothing like us. I remembered Liam saying, and my mood soured. Even Liam's hints that we should be together irritated me. So I found an excuse to turn him down. I didn't have time for relationships. I had to take care of my parents and support my family. Liam, being understanding as always, didn't push the issue and instead focused on helping me. But then things took a turn for the worse. My mom's condition deteriorated, and we needed a huge amount of money for her treatment. Just when I thought I had no way out, that boy appeared again. What do you want in return? I asked. He shook his head. I laughed bitterly inside, not sure whether I was mocking him or myself. All right, then let's be together, I heard myself say. I knew what he wanted, yet he acted like he didn't. But I had no choice. I needed the money, so I sold myself to him. His relationship with his family wasn't great, so he clung to me, but I was too busy. When did I have the time for him? Eventually, he started coming around less, and I thought he had finally let it go. I didn't realize he was busy causing trouble for Liam. I scolded him multiple times, but he always denied it. Our arguments never ended well. When he finally stopped, I was relieved until I saw him chatting with another woman at the nursing home. That woman was Violet. I knew her. She was his childhood friend and came from a similar background. If it weren't for me, they would have been a perfect match. I'm a woman. I could see the way she looked at him. He would complain to her, bicker with her. All things he never did with me. How could he do this? He said he loved me, yet he was with another woman. He thought I was drunk that night, but I wasn't. I don't know where the possessiveness came from, but it consumed me, catching me off guard. When I found out I was pregnant, I felt an odd sense of relief. Now that I had a child, we would have to stay together, right? I don't even know how I ended up deciding to go through with the procedure. I thought it was a way to punish him, but I was wrong. It hurt me 1,000 times more than I ever expected. Everything fell apart, spiraling out of control. I don't even remember how I said those things to him. I must have been losing my mind when he signed the divorce papers. I realized that I really had lost it. How could I let him go? I couldn't let him leave, but by the time I came to my senses, it was too late. I fired Liam and leaked the news about him taking kickbacks and leaking company secrets. He couldn't find work anywhere after that and begged outside my office for days before leaving the city in disgrace. I couldn't bring myself to change the contact name in my phone, but one day when I called it drunk, I found out it had already been disconnected. Later, I heard he and Violet had a grand wedding. That's when I finally understood something. I had lost him for good. The rain outside was pouring, dampening everything, seeping into my heart. It was my fault. It was all my fault. I lost him, and I lost myself. I'm sorry. Next time, please don't meet me again. Chapter 21. Extra the next time I saw Amara was 3 years later. Mom's not doing well. She wants to see you. I almost didn't recognize the woman in front of me. Amara, once so glamorous and beautiful, now looked haggard and gaunt in just 3 short years. She seemed to have aged 10 years. I heard she had gone through several old college classmates trying to track me down before finally finding me. Although everything between us was long over, I couldn't help but think of the frail old woman lying in her hospital bed, so I nodded. All right, but I have something to do later, so I won't be able to stay long. Militia's previously dull eyes lit up, clearly not expecting me to agree so easily. For a moment, she seemed a little unsure of what to do. And no problem, it's already amazing that you're willing to come. There was an unfamiliar nervousness and unease on her face as she spoke softly. I'm already so grateful you're willing to go. I made a call to my family, and then Amara and I headed out to visit Sue's mother. Surprisingly, she wasn't in the nursing home anymore. The car finally stopped in front of a rundown apartment building. Oh, right. I'd heard that a few years ago things fell apart between Amara and Liam out of spite. Liam joined one of her rival companies and systematically pushed Amara to the brink. Her company went bankrupt. She was deep in debt, and she had borrowed money from several classmates. In the end, after all that, she had ended up like this, unable to afford the nursing home fees and without a proper place to stay. Now she was renting a shabby apartment. When we got to the door, Amara didn't go in right away. She placed her hand on the door, took a deep breath, and finally pushed it open. Sue's mother was lying in bed, skeletal and weak. Mom, Amara called softly. Sue's mother heard her, but slowly turned her head away, closing her eyes again. Amara walked over and whispered, Mom, Ethan came to see you. Sue's mother froze, trembling as she lifted her head to look at me. Mrs. Sue, I greeted her. Tears immediately welled up in Sue's mother's eyes, falling onto her thin, bony hands. Amara rushed to wipe away her tears, but Sue's mother pushed her away. Get out. I have no daughter like you. Caught off guard, Amara stumbled and fell to the ground, tears brimming in her eyes. I felt a little awkward, unsure of what had caused their relationship to become like this. Mrs. Sue, please don't get upset, but Sue's mother only cried harder. Her mouth opened and closed, her voice hoarse and choked with sobs. I know everything now. Ethan, it was Ollie who wronged you. Our family, the Sue family, wronged you. I was silent for a moment before shaking my head. It's all in the past. Everyone has their own life now. We should all move forward. Don't you think? Sue's mother trembled, turning her head away to cry. Ethan, you're a good boy. You shouldn't come here again. Amara, her eyes red and swollen, wanted to see me off downstairs. There's no need. Take care of your mother, I said, glancing at my phone. Amara gave a bitter smile. Ever since she found out we divorced, she hasn't acknowledged me. She looks at me every day and just gets angrier. I wasn't in the mood to listen to this, nor was I interested. Grabbing my car keys, I prepared to leave. Amara hesitated. Ethan, are you in a hurry? Maybe we could have lunch or tea. I nodded. Yeah, I've got to go pick up Laura from school. Amara froze as if struck by lightning. Her face went pale as a sheet. What? Oh, I forgot to tell you, Laura, my daughter. I smiled. You haven't met her. She's got her mother's eyes, but my nose and mouth. She's beautiful. Amara couldn't say another word. She slumped onto the sofa, slowly covering her face, and began to sob quietly. I turned and left. As the door closed behind me, I heard her collapse into full-blown weeping. I didn't look back. I walked straight to my car and rushed to the kindergarten. Daddy, a soft, sweet bundle of joy, threw herself into my arms. I lifted her up and gave her a little toss. Let's go, Mommy's cooking something special at home today. My little girl scrunched up her nose, looking at me pitifully. Daddy, I want to eat your cooking. I tapped her nose playfully. All right. The part of me that was once missing had long since been filled with love. The past is just that, gone like smoke in the wind.